Attention all the Starbucks connoisseurs. It looks like you might be drinking coffee at home, making it on your own. On a real note, Starbucks is next in line on the chopping block. They are doing mass layoffs, closing down stores. You are in for the latest news. Thumbs up the video, smash subscribe. All right, let's get into it. Let's talk about it.
Starbucks is planning another round of store closures and job cuts due to slumping sales in the U.S. In a statement sent to employees, the CEO said around 900 corporate staffers would be laid off. That's on top of the 1,100 jobs that were cut earlier this year. Starbucks also plans to close underperforming coffee houses across North America. The company's recent financial struggles have scared investors, with its stock price falling by more than 12% over the past year.
Never really thought that boycotting worked. But Starbucks, because the boycotts had to close down hundreds of stores and lay off workers, it is continuing to struggle. That is absolutely insane.
Starbucks just filing an 8K that says its board has approved a restructuring plan that will involve the closure of coffee houses and further transformation of the company's support organization as part of its Back to Starbucks strategy under CEO Brian Niccol. The company expects that a majority of store closures are going to be completed by the end of the fiscal year and estimates that it will incur approximately $1 billion related to the store closures, support organization transformation, and other restructuring activities.
Y'all heard it. Within this year, they'll be making these changes. $1 billion restructuring plan. As we enter Q4, October, November, December, that's all that we got left for this year. And then it's up. So they have to complete these changes within that time frame.
90% of those expenses are going to be attributable to the North America business. So overall company-operated stores in North America will decline by about 1% in fiscal year 2025 after accounting for both openings and closures. The company further expects a significant portion of these charges, again, will be incurred in fiscal 2025. A reminder here, Back to Starbucks strategy, this filing says focuses on revitalizing the coffee houses and enhancing the customer experience. The filing also says the company assessed its existing store portfolio with respect to both whether its coffee houses had a viable path to offering the physical environment that they feel is consistent with the brand and a clear path to financial performance. It's going to close those coffee houses that do not meet the criteria. The company is also working to build a stronger and more resilient Starbucks, it says, and prioritizes investment closer to the coffee house and the customer and further restructuring its support organization.
Restructuring equals layoffs and consolidation so the board members can make more money. This comment says Starbucks supervisor here. They told us this morning our store is closing in 2 days. On the third day, they'll receive an email on whether they'll lay us off or transfer us to another store of their choice. They don't care about us. They never did. More job loss under this administration. Sounds like union busting. Meanwhile, the CEO just made $100 million and flying the private jet daily to Seattle, but yet closing the stores. LOL. Look like the people not falling for it. They're not having it.
So tell me, how do y'all feel about this news? Starbucks announced today that in their $1 billion reconstructive plan, they will be closing some of its North American stores. I did not know that Starbucks had a total of 18,734 stores in the North American region, but once these closures start, they will have 18,300 stores remaining in the North American region. Still sounds like a lot of stores to me, but in this $1 billion reconstructive plan, there will be 900 layoffs, and those layoffs will be some of their non-retail workers. It's always horrible to hear people losing their jobs, but yeah, how do y'all feel about that news? Starbucks, yet another company, is getting ready to lay people off under this Trump's economy. Yeah, tell me how y'all feel about that.
Hi, I'm a Starbucks employee in downtown Toronto, and I just received a call from my manager that our entire team is fired. We are a high traffic store. We had almost 100% customer satisfaction rate. Why are we fired? We asked, could we be relocated in any other store? Because most of us were full-time. All of us have rent to pay. Some of us are parents. We have kids to care about. There was absolutely no signs of closure. Right now it is September 25th. Last day of operation is September 27th. For such a huge company, this is unacceptable. There will be a union formed and we will fight back. What the fuck? The entire idea of Starbucks, we care about the quality of our coffee, we care about the planet, we care about our partners. No, you don't. No, you don't. What the fuck? I ask everybody on social media to ban Starbucks. Do not go to Starbucks. Support Tim Hortons. Never, never, never treat with respect company that doesn't care about its workers. If Starbucks thinks that it's just gonna fly away like this, that they can fire an entire store with people with rent, who are parents, who have to take care of themselves, this is unacceptable. This is not reasonable, and this is just a shame for a company that big, worldwide company. Shame on Starbucks. Shame.
The sad part is CEOs don't care about anybody's lives except their own. They don't care that you got a family. They don't care that you'll be without work. They don't care that you won't have any income. They care about the growth of their business. And that's what you're taking on as a CEO. You having to let go of people and people being mad at you, being upset with you, people feeling like you did them in. That's a part of being a CEO. That's a part of being a business owner. When things like this happen, the company starts to struggle. They have to make subsequent changes in order to stay afloat. And it's always tough for the people that work for the companies and help build the companies up. And on the other hand, we also have an economy under this Trump administration where innovation has now become the standard in order to stay open for business. All companies, big and small, they have to comply with new policies. We will see more layoffs from Starbucks. This is not the first round. This is just another round.
And one last thing before I go to bed, I just wanted to say that I am passionate about this because I went through it 6 months ago and it sucked so bad. And now that it's happening again, it's like deja vu. However, they're calling this layoffs round 2. I would consider this number 3 because a couple months ago, the CEO sent an email out to employees, corporate employees, stating that there was a mandatory 4-day in office. And if you worked remote and were a people manager, you had to relocate to Seattle within a few months. And if you didn't by a certain date, which I think was like November or something, then you would have to leave. People who weren't people managers, just like regular managers or like specialists or whatever, people who worked remote in those job titles, they wouldn't be able to apply for another role, like a higher level role or a lateral role on a different team. They wouldn't have that opportunity unless they moved to Seattle. And they also gave all of the corporate employees, including the ones who come in office 4 days, they gave them the option to take a payout and leave Starbucks. They gave anyone that option. And when I tell you, people took that payout, people who I never expected would do that, took the payout and left. That says a lot. I had a friend I was talking to today that works there, and we were, she told me about the situation this morning. So I kind of already knew about it before it came out. And for her to say, I hope they take me, I hope they tell me it's time, because I'm so exhausted. Because you have to think about it, when there are mass layoffs like that consecutively within few months from one another, the workload gets so much heavier for the people who are still in their roles. And not only are they mourning the loss of their coworkers, because I would say the culture was very much people really liked each other and team bonds were very strong. And they had to deal with that on top of getting thrown all of this extra work. It's insane. It's insane. And that is what you call a silent layoff.
So guess what, guys? I had a phone call, right? I'm taking a nap. I get a phone call. I wake up and check my phone. Oh, can you call me back ASAP? It's my manager. I call her. I'm like, hello. She's like, oh, did you hear the news? I'm like, what news? Did I get a promotion? No, you're fucking fired. I'm not fired, but guess what? I don't have a fucking job anymore. My store's closing. What do you mean? What the fuck do you mean? What do you mean I don't have a job anymore? Starbucks, what the fuck? What happened? What do you mean? What do you mean I don't have a job anymore? Do you know how many fucking bills I have to pay? And that was one thing. It was really one thing to not have my license, but I don't have a job or a license, so now I'm a bump. Now I'm classified as a bump. You don't have a job and you don't have a fucking license. How you gonna get around? How you gonna get around? Now, I wasn't too worried about the license because I'm like, okay, I have people to drive me around, you know, my family members, my boyfriend. No. Oh, you can't rely on anybody. Because it was like, all right, bro, can you drive me here? I'll give you some gas money. No. I don't have the fucking gas money no more. I don't have nothing. I don't have the job. So guys, you know, follow me. You know, I'm gonna be doing these get ready with me's and stuff. I'm gonna get to work on here. You know, I was going to, but now I have to. It's not a want, it's a need. It's a necessity.
Yesterday, Starbucks laid off a bunch of people, 900 employees, and they're going to close several stores here in the U.S. The layoffs are supposed to be part of a restructuring plan, a $1 billion restructuring plan that has been spearheaded by the company's new chairman and CEO, Brian Niccol. Nichols came to the company in September of last year, and a lot of changes have happened. This is not even the first layoff since he's taken the helm at Starbucks. So now I'm going to tell you how this is going to affect your life. I'm going to talk about it from like a national perspective, and then I'm going to talk about it from a perspective of here in Seattle, where the company is located. So from a national perspective, the company is only shrinking their stores by 1%. The majority of the 900 employees that are being laid off are going to be non-retail employees. What's probably going to happen is that instead of having 3 Starbucks on your block, you're probably going to have 1, or maybe you'll have to drive a little bit further to get to another Starbucks store. However, in this economy where job growth is kind of slowing, I imagine that it's pretty hard for baristas to find work outside of Starbucks. How this is going to affect the Seattle area or the greater Puget Sound region is that whether we like it or not, Starbucks is one of the largest employers here within the greater Seattle area. And a lot of the larger employers, such as Microsoft, are also cutting jobs, shedding jobs, laying off.
Right.
Anytime there are layoffs, they're going to affect the city and state economy. In the long run, they do eventually affect the overall economy of the nation. However, we're not there yet. So we're just talking about Seattle, and we're just talking about Washington State, but specifically Seattle. So with the closing of large and important locations like the Reserve, that means that it's going to affect the Capitol Hill neighborhood, or the portion of Capitol Hill where the Reserve was located. I don't want to say that it's interesting to see what'll happen next just because of the fact that so many people lost their jobs, and it's a big deal. But at the same time, I'm curious as to how the company's going to move forward with the fact that they're shedding so many jobs and so many locations so fast. But supposedly, Brian Niccol was able to do miracle work at Chipotle, so we'll see if he knows exactly what he's doing. I would be lying if I didn't say that I was a tad bit concerned as to what is happening right now.
What's happening right now is the Great Reset. The system is resetting. CEOs have to reset their businesses. Consolidation has to take place for the greater good of companies on a profit aspect from the perspective of the CEO so they can continue growing. As I say on all videos, the most expensive expense is paying employees. That's why we're seeing every company lay off. We talking about Starbucks now. We talked about Amazon. We're talking about all of the big dogs letting go thousands of employees. Oh, well, Starbucks only let go 900. Okay, 100 more, that'll be 1,000. Expect more to come. This is just the breaking news.
I survived the great Starbucks rapture for now. My store is unionized. I don't know if they're going to come for us. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, just the other day, my managers took my fellow strike captain to the back and told them that they can't talk about union stuff on the floor, which is illegal. We can, you know, we have the right to organize at work, and I can even post flyers at work. That's union busting. Anyways, I find it funny how they're saying, like, you know, we're closing down the stores to, like, reallocate the money. But just a couple months ago, they flew out all store managers for their Las Vegas conference, had Bruno Mars performing, had Keke Palmer speaking, paid for their flights, their hotels, and was even advertising on the Sphere, which I believe is like $200,000 a day to advertise on the Sphere. And let's not even forget Brian Niccol's pay package. $1.5 million base pay, $5 million sign-in bonus, and I believe $70 to $80 million of, you know, recuperated loss from him leaving Chipotle early. What? The money's there. It's just going to him and other, board members and whatever. It's just like, bro, I don't know. Stop eating your avocado toast. You don't need a private jet to where you live in California to Seattle every week. And the funny thing about that private jet thing is, like, Starbucks try to, like, say, like, oh, we care so much about the environment. Carbon emissions from his thing is crazy. From his daily travel is crazy. But what do I know? I'm just a silly barista.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's accurate. The money is going to the stakeholders of companies and going to the CEOs. They're passing the money around, making sure they get rich. Just like the same thing the government is doing. Everybody within the political party that's in office as of now, they're getting rich and their colleagues are getting rich. Big business is doing the same thing. You have to follow the money. That's the name of the game. Is it fair? Is it right? No. But that's the name of the game. And in these last days and times, stores are getting greedier. Big business, they're becoming greedier. Greedflation is taking over the nation. People are looking out for themselves and trying to get as much money as they can, trying to become as rich and powerful as they can. Everyone else, they do not care about. We've successfully built their companies. Now they don't need us anymore. I can only keep it real with y'all. Drop a comment below. Let me know what y'all think about this video. Peace to my Hebrew fam. Shalom. I will catch y'all on the next one.